Yamantaka, the ferocious emanation of Manjushri, is the most complicated and terrible of all the wrathful Buddhist divinities. Under this form he conquered the demon king of death, Yama, who was depopulating Tibet in his insatiable thirst for victims. He had 34 arms, each holding the symbolic implement. With his two principal arms he holds a curved knife and a skull cup full of blood. A kapala is a cup made from a human skull. When it is filled with blood it is called Ashrakapala, and called Mamsakapala when filled with flesh. Vajra tomahawk is used to strengthen conviction, eliminate the demons, is guarding implement when practicing Dharma. The Vajra is believed to represent firmness of spirit and spiritual power. It is a ritual tool or spiritual implement. This is a sword wheel. The skull drum is known as a power drum, and when played, it tends to bring spiritual energy. This is a hatch. Trigal is an important implement in tantric practice of Dharma. This is a skull cane. The skull is resin. The steel shaft has a flat black finish. This is a harpoon line. And this is a Tibetan scimitar. The sword. A long bell. The purva is a ritual dagger which symbolizes the slaying of obstruction in Tibetan community. This is a rope. This is a bow. A spear. A fresh left arm. The yantra features a natural function. It is also said to dispel evil spirits. This is anathema. Exalted passionless deity, and often referred to as the progenitor or great-grandsire of all human beings. This is a kunda. This is a shroud. The fresh left leg. And the elephant skin across his back. Yamantaka has 9 heads, the topmost being that yellow Manjushri with a slightly wrathful expression. The human brain is the center of the human nervous system. Enclosed in the cranium, the human brain has the same general structure as that of other mammals. The brain monitors and regulates the body's actions and reactions. It continuously receives sensory information and rapidly analyzes this data and then responds accordingly by controlling bodily actions and functions. The frontal lobe contains most of the dopamine-sensitive neurons in the cerebral cortex. The parietal lobe is a part of the brain positioned above the occipital lobe and behind the frontal lobe. The temporal lobe is a region of the cerebral cortex that is located beneath the sylvian fissure on both cerebral hemispheres of the mammalian brain. The main enormous buffalo head is truly fearsome. The lower extension of the brain where it connects to the spinal cord. Neurological functions located in the brainstem include those necessary for survival and for arousal. The brainstem is the pathway for all fiber tracts passing up and down from peripheral nerves and spinal cord to the highest parts of the brain. The brainstem is the posterior part of the brain, adjoining and structurally continuous with the spinal cord. The brainstem provides the main motor and sensory innervation to the face and neck via the cranial nerves. The thalamus is a midline paired symmetrical structure within the brains of vertebrates, including humans. It is situated between the cerebral cortex and the midbrain, both in terms of location and neurological connections. Its functions include relaying sensation, spatial sense, and motor signals to the cerebral cortex, along with the regulation of consciousness, sleep, and alertness. The hypothalamus is located below the thalamus, just above the brainstem. The hypothalamus controls body temperature, hunger, thirst, fatigue, sleep, and circadian cycles. PHG is located in the tegmentum of midbrain. The midbrain is part of the brainstem that organizes the different inputs from various sources into a motor output. It's on top of brainstem area. After PHG releases the motor signal, various nerves become activated and send motor signals to muscles. They are sympathetic nerves and cranial nerves. Among many of cranial nerves, oculomotor nerve, facial nerve and trigeminal nerve are closely related to anger expressions. The midbrain is a portion of the central nervous system associated with vision, hearing, motor control, sleep, weight, arousal, and temperature regulation. The amygdala sends impulses to the hypothalamus for activation of the sympathetic nervous system, to the thalamic reticular nucleus for increased reflexes, to the nuclei of the trigeminal nerve and the facial nerve, and to the ventral tegmental area, locus coeruleus, and later orbital tegmental nucleus for activation of dopamine, norepinephrine and epinephrine. When the brain receives a sensory stimulus indicating an irritation, it is routed first to the thalamus. From there, the information is sent out over two parallel pathways. The thalamo-amygdala pathway, the short route, and the thalamo-cortico-amygdala pathway, the long route. The hippocampus is the structure that supports the explicit memory required to learn about the irritation of an object or situation in the first place. The hippocampus that not only can the stimulus become a source of anger, but so can all the objects surrounding it and the situation or location in which it occurs. The imminent presence of an irritation then performs the task of activating the amygdala, whose discharge patterns in turn activate the efferent structures responsible for physical manifestations of irritation. sympathetic nervous system is part of the autonomic nervous system, which acts as a control system functioning largely below the level of consciousness. It aids in the control of most of the body's internal organs and induces the fight-or-flight response. The oculomotor nerve is the third of 12-pair cranial nerves. It controls most of the eye's movement and constriction of the pupil, and maintains an open eyelid. The facial nerve is the seventh of 12-pair cranial nerves. It emerges from the brain stem between the pons and the medulla, and controls the muscles of facial expression. The trigeminal nerve is responsible for sensation in the face. The fifth nerve is primarily a sensory nerve, but it also has certain motor functions. Yamantaka wears the five-skull crown. His left 8 legs extended straight press upon a deity. Yamantaka wears the characteristic ornaments of the wrathful deities, the garland of severed heads. His right 8 legs bent pressing down on a deity.